Hey, I'm Charles Barallo. You said alternative energies were a bad investment. In perfect libertarianism, there is respect for property rights, and many economists, such as Walter Block, have said that if we had property rights for the last 100 years, which we haven't had perfect property rights, we would not even be using oil today. We would have had another alternative to that currency. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think well, energy is an incredibly regulated market. 90% of the energy is produced by governments. It's mostly corrupt governments in the emerging world, and so I think I think there's obviously a great deal of very intense regulation. Probably even a lot of alternate energy can't be developed for regulatory reasons. So I think it's a classic case of massive regulation, massive lack of property rights.
Good evening, Mr. Thiel. My name is Shai. So I have a question on how do you think the libertarian government will redefine international relations? So I was just really curious because on one hand, I think I'm one of the few people in this room where I'm from China, like one of the countries where most of the people, as well as authority, is like against or don't identify with or oppress the libertarian movement. But in spite of that, I'm still here. So, but on the other hand, I'm also a big fan of system. I want to work for that for my life. So I'm just really curious about how do you think the start of this kind of individual enterprise type of government will play, what kind of role it will play in this new international relations? Because I'm just a little bit nervous. Like, I want to work in system, but I don't want to be treated from a country. Like, my grandpa would not like that. So, yes, thank you.
Yes, well, there is always, one of the challenges, one of the things government does probably do is protect you from other governments that are worse, and so this is always a sort of the philosophic question you have to answer is how much is that protection real? How much is it imaginary? And probably if you sort of generalize, all forms of state violence are always rationalized as ways to reduce violence. And so it's never just that the government likes killing people, even if that might be the truth. But it's it's not that you have these mentally ill people who like doing this or something like that. That's not the way it's described. It's always rationalized as the violence is always done in a way where it's designed to limit violence and to be sort of humane and peaceful and create a better world. I think the guillotine in France was originally was invented as a humanitarian device because people before that had their heads chopped off with an axe and they might miss your head or stuff, and so guillotine was seen as a massive humanitarian improvement. And so I think the question we have to always ask is how much of this is real, how much is fake, and you can sort of I think people can reasonably come down on somewhat different levels. I tend to think that the threat of government violence has been greatly exaggerated, and for that reason we could have a significantly more libertarian system and not worry about it. There obviously are there are all these corner cases that are very tough that I don't have all the answers for, but I think at the margins it's been greatly exaggerated.